Hello students, let's start our new topic which is about nutrition in animals, unicellular as well as multicellular animals. First of all, we will discuss the process of nutrition in unicellular animals. Unicellular animals are those animals which are single celled. They have only one cell to perform all the activities. Let's take the example of amoeba. There are various steps which are followed during the process of nutrition. First is ingestion, then digestion, then absorption, next is assimilation, and last one is egestion. The first step, which is ingestion, ingestion means intake of food. After intake of food or entry of food, there will be digestion of the food, means the complex food will be broken down into the small particles. After that, the small particles of the food are absorbed in the body, which are further utilized or assimilated for various functions of the body. And what happened to the undigested food or the waste food? That is digested through the body. You can see in this diagram that this is the amoeba with the help of pseudopodia. Pseudo means false, podia means food. These pseudopodia are the extension of the cell membranes which look like the food, and these pseudopodia help in the capturing of the food. So the amoeba with the help of pseudopodia that capture the food. After capturing the food, it becomes a vacuole which is known as food vacuole. Now this vacuole is taken inside. When this vacuole is taken inside, that is digested, means the digestion start. So there is digestion of the food vacuole. After digestion, the complex food particles are broken down into the smaller particles, and these smaller particles are diffused into the cytoplasm. You can see in this diagram the food vacuole is digested, and after digesting the food particles are dissolved in the cytoplasm, means they are absorbed by the cytoplasm of the cell. And now this absorbed food is assimilated, means this is used for the growth and repair of the body, and the undigested food or the waste food that moves to the surface of the cell and is thrown out of the cell, which is known as egestion. So let's take a brief about the process of nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba starts the process of nutrition with the help of pseudopodia. With the help of pseudopodia, it captures the food and then it takes in the form of food vacuole. The food vacuole is digested, and the digested food is dissolved in the cytoplasm. That digested food is used for the various cell activities like growth, repair, energy, and it is stored for the future purpose. Now what happened to the undigested food? The undigested food moved to the surface of the cell, and that undigested food is thrown out. So there are basic 5 steps in the nutrition of the amoeba. First one is ingestion, then digestion, after that absorption, then assimilation, and last one is egestion. Next we will learn the nutrition in multicellular animals. We will take the example of human beings. Human beings are omnivorous in nature, means they feed on the different plant parts as well as different animal products. The food we eat is broken down into simpler molecules in our digestive system. So let's start the digestive system of human beings. This is the diagram of the human digestive system. The human digestive system, it starts with the opening known as mouth and end to the anus. Let's start the process of digestion in human beings. The steps are same as in case of amoeba. First is ingestion, means intake of the food. Second one is digestion, means the breakdown of the complex food into simple one. After that, absorption occur, means the movement of the digested food. After that, assimilation, that is utilization of the food for various activities. And last one is egestion, the removal of the waste product from the body. The human digestive system comprises following two groups of organs. First one is alimentary canal and second one is digestive glands. The alimentary canal, it is about 9 meters long. It is known as food tube, which opens at both the ends. It begins with the mouth and ends with the anus. Whereas the digestive glands, they make and store the different digestive juices or different digestive enzymes. Let's start the alimentary canal. Alimentary canal, it starts with the mouth. So first part is mouth and buccal cavity. Then pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. Let's start with the mouth and the buccal cavity. Mouth is the entry point of the food. It helps in the intake of the whole food. In my last video, which was all about the heterotrophic nutrition, I told you about the holozoic mode of nutrition. I told you that human beings show the holozoic nutrition because they take the whole food. So, mouth is responsible for intake of the whole food. In the buccal cavity, there are teeth, which helps in the chewing and grinding of the food. And by chewing and grinding, they convert the complex food into smaller particles. Tongue helps in the rolling of the food. There are different taste buds on the tongue which helps in the tasting of the food, whether the food is sweet, salty, sour, etc. After that, the tongue helps in swallowing or pushing down of the food with the help of rolling movements. And last in the buccal cavity is salivary glands. These salivary glands, they secrete the saliva and mucus, which help in the softening of the food. And the saliva secrete the enzyme salivary amylase, which help in converting starch into the sugar. Next is esophagus. This is the diagram of the esophagus. Esophagus is just like a pipe, which helps in carrying the food from the mouth to the stomach. That's why we call the esophagus as food pipe. Esophagus helps in taking the food from the mouth to the stomach by peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement, very important point. What is peristaltic movement? The rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscles of esophagus. We all know that muscles can contract as well as relax. So the muscles of esophagus, they contract and relax, and by this movement they pass the food to the stomach. Next is stomach. Stomach is the very important part of the digestive system. It has various glands which are known as gastric glands. So the glands present in the stomach are known as gastric glands. They have the specific name known as gastric glands, which secrete the juices which are known as gastric juice. Now this gastric juice play a very important role in the digestion of the food. This gastric juice is composed of three components. First one is pepsin, second is HCl, and third is mucus. This pepsin is actually present in an inactive form. This is the enzyme which help in breakdown of the protein. Means pepsin is responsible for the digestion of protein. But in the gastric juice, this is present in the inactive form, that is not active. Then who help it to convert in the active form? That is HCl. HCl is the acid which is present in the stomach. So the first function of the HCl is it helps in activation of the enzyme pepsin. The inactive form of the pepsin is pepsinogen. So HCl convert the pepsinogen into pepsin, which helps in breakdown of the protein. Now you can see that HCl is a acid, means it make the medium acidic, which helps in the digestion of food. We all know that acids are very reactive. If we put a single drop of the acid on our hand, then it can burn our skin. So this HCl is present in the stomach. How can our stomach can be safe? With the help of mucus. So third component, which is mucus, that protect the stomach from the attack of the acid. How it protects the stomach? It protects the inner lining of the stomach. It forms a lining inside the stomach. By that, it protects the stomach from the acidic effect of the HCl. So in stomach there are gastric juice, and in the gastric juice there are three components: pepsin, HCl and mucus. Each of them perform a particular function in the process of digestion. Pepsin help in the breakdown of the protein. HCl, it makes the medium acidic, which makes the process of digestion fast. And mucus, it helps in the protection of the stomach from acid. Next is the small intestine. As I told you that small intestine is responsible for the absorption of the food. It is composed of the three parts: duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum is the starting part of the small intestine. After that, second part is jejunum, and last part is, that is the ending part, that is ileum. So there are three parts of the small intestine: duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum, jejunum and ileum. These are the three parts of the small intestine. Now what happened in the small intestine? Like in the stomach there were gastric juices, there were gastric glands. In the small intestine there are intestinal enzymes, and these intestinal enzymes that helps in converting the carbohydrate, fats and proteins into their simple form. These intestinal enzymes convert carbohydrate into simple glucose, fats into its components, which are fatty acids and glycerol, proteins into amino acid. The small intestine, it contains the villi, and these villi are the finger-like projections. And what is the function of these villi? They help in the absorption of food into the blood. Actually, what the villi do, they increase the surface area, and by increasing the surface area there is maximum absorption of the food into the blood, and with the help of circulation of the blood, the food is circulated in the whole body. The small intestine, it receives the various secretions from the liver and pancreas. Liver secrete a very important secretion which is known as bile juice, which helps in the emulsification of the fat. What is the emulsification of fat? The large fat globules are converted into the small globules. So we can say that the digestion of the fat is known as emulsification. Second secretion which it absorbs from the pancreas. Pancreas secrete the pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice contains two enzymes. First one is trypsin, second one is lipase. Trypsin, it converts into the proteins into peptones. Means trypsin helps in the digestion of the proteins. Whereas the lipase, the name is suggesting lipase, it helps in the digestion of the fats. Next is large intestine. Now I told you that the absorption of the food takes place in the small intestine. So what happened in the large intestine? In the large intestine there is absorption of excess water. So what does the large intestine do? It absorbs the excess of water, and the rest of the material which is undigested, that is removed from the body via anus. Means through the anus the undigested food or undigested material is thrown out from the body. So this was all about the human digestive system, mainly alimentary canal. This is the well labeled diagram of the large and the small intestine. The small intestine is composed of three parts: duodenum, jejunum and ileum. The small intestine starts with the duodenum and ends in the ileum, whereas the large intestine is composed of three parts, that are cecum, colon and rectum. The large intestine starts with the cecum and ends with the rectum. This rectum get its exit point with anus, which helps in the digestion of the undigested food. Next we are going to study the second part of the digestive system. First was alimentary canal and the second is digestive gland. Digestive glands are the glands which help in the digestion of the food. First digestive gland is salivary glands. There are three pairs of salivary glands which open into the buccal cavity. These glands secrete the saliva. The saliva is slightly alkaline, means it has the pH 7.2. Please remember, the pH of the saliva is 7.2. It binds the food particle into a bolus, means a bowl-like structure, for easy swallowing. The salivary glands secrete the salivary amylase enzyme, which is also known as ptyalin. It converts the starch into the maltose. Maltose is a sugar which is composed of the individual subunit of glucose. So the saliva is secreted by the salivary gland, and this saliva contains the enzyme salivary amylase, which help in the digestion of the carbohydrate. This salivary amylase starts the digestion of the carbohydrate from the mouth. Next is liver. Liver is the largest gland in our body. It is reddish brown in color and is formed of hepatic cells. The cells which are present in the liver, they are known as hepatic cells. Liver produce bile juice. I told you earlier, it produces the bile juice, and that bile juice is responsible for the emulsification of the fat. So the bile juice is secreted by the liver and it is stored in the gallbladder. So what is the function of the liver? It helps in the production of bile juice. And next is about gallbladder. Gallbladder is a transparent ovoid sac. It receives the bile juice from the liver via hepatic duct. The hepatic duct that connect the liver to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder stores the bile juice. So see the function of liver, it helps in the production of bile juice. Function of gallbladder, it helps in the storage of the bile juice. Next gland is the pancreas. Pancreatic gland. It is the pink colored leaf shaped gland. It lies in the U-shaped loop of the duodenum. It is the dual gland. Why it is dual gland? Very important point. Because it acts as exocrine gland as well as the endocrine gland. Its exocrine part, exo means outer part, its exocrine part is formed of the pancreatic lobules, which produce the pancreatic juice that contain enzyme for digestion of the sugar and the protein. So what is the function of the exocrine part of the pancreas? It helps in the digestion of sugars and proteins. Then endocrine part. The endocrine part of the pancreas is represented by the islets of the Langerhans. These islets of the Langerhans, these are the cells which produce the insulin and glucagon hormone. Very important, this insulin and glucagon hormone are associated with the metabolism of the glucose. By the proper digestion of the glucose, they maintain the sugar level of the blood. If there is imbalance in the insulin hormone and glucagon hormone, the blood sugar level will be imbalanced, which will cause the disease diabetes. In local term, we call it sugar. Well, student, today we discussed about the process of digestion in unicellular as well as in multicellular organism. Firstly, we did the process of nutrition in the unicellular organism like amoeba. After that, we discussed the human digestive system and various digestive glands which are responsible for the process of digestion. Thank you, students. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section below. If you like this video, please like and share it and subscribe to my channel Grip 2 Science